I want to welcome all of you to this Zoom tutorial this evening. This is an initiative by District 3300 TRF committee with the support of our speaker this evening, our RRFC from District DRFC from District 3310, PP Dr. Shahul. And because he's speaking, we have got a stellar cast of visitors from all over the world, practically. So welcome all of you to this Zoom tutorial this evening. And I'd like to acknowledge the presence with us this evening, a Rotary Regional Foundation Coordinator, Past Governor Jason Lim, all the way from Bangkok to support this event. And he will also be a resource and will be speaking to us shortly. And we also have Past Governor Dr. Paul Lee, the advisor to our foundation committee, and we have the EMGA advisor and district grants chair of District 3300, and Archclum Society member, immediate past District Governor Liu Cheng Lim, as well as past governors and incoming District Governor elects and District Governor nominee. Now, the whole idea of this tutorial was basically we needed an expert to share with us, basically to get our Rotarians excited about global grants, because in District 3300, it's no secret that not many of our Rotary clubs have been embarking on global grants. And really the focus now should be a move from district grants to global grants. And that's why we especially invited Dr. Shahul to share this session with us. And he was our speaker at our seminar 2 years back, and his session was very well received, obviously. So once again, Dr. Shahul, thank you for spending time with us this evening. We know that you've got a very busy schedule, and later on we'll have a Q&A session. As you can see from the program, Dr. Shahul will be having about 15 minutes of his PowerPoint at slides, and thereafter we'll have the Q&A and an ideas exchange. We have the resource Rotarians here with us, and of course we also have very knowledgeable Rotarians who've been embarking on global grants themselves, who would like to share their success story, or also probably their landmines and some of their difficult journeys ahead. So without further ado, we're going to now invite RFC, Past Governor Jason Lim, a very good friend of ours, to kick off and give us your opening remarks. RFC Jason, over to you.
Thank you, DRFC's Leslie, and DRFC's Dr. Shahul, current, past, and future district leaders, my fellow Rotarians. I'm honored and glad to see so many people in this Zoom meeting. First of all, I would like to thank you, District 3300, for your kind contribution. And last year, it is a record for your district to contribute more than 960,000. My sincere thank you.
Studies have shown that clinicians are not necessarily.
Everybody knows that this year is going to be tough due to the pandemic. It will be a challenging year, but with Rotary Vision, together we create change. And with the 4 priorities that we have, increase our impact.
Okay, so communication is a two-way process, but
and expand our reach, enhance participant engagement.
Sorry, RRFC, Jason, just give me a minute. Bernard, sure. Could you mute everyone, please, Bernard?
Yeah.
You don't mind? Bernard, there's a bit of feedback, there's a bit of background noise. Thank you. Sorry for the interference.
It's okay.
Carry on, please, sorry.
And finally, to increase our ability to adapt. With effect from 1st of July, every one of us know there will be changes in the funding structures. Some of us may like it, some of us may not like it. But we have to overcome these obstacles. How are we going to create impact? To do global grants, and especially with this COVID pandemic, I'm very sure many communities in our countries, and in fact, all over the world, they need our help. Some of you may know how to do a global grant, some of you may not. That is why DRFC Leslie has invited a guru. We are just talking about guru. Why call him a guru? Because Dr. Shahul has did many global grants, all right? In fact, from my districts, some of the clubs say that I do not want to do global grant. It's so difficult. In actual fact, it is not. And I'm sure DRFC Shahul tonight will tell you how easy it is to do a global grant. So let us be the inspiration. The next world opens opportunity to serve humanity. Thank you very much, my friend. Over to you.
Thank you, RFC Jason. Thank you so much for those opening remarks, inspiring address. Jason is no stranger to global grants. His district, he was also a champion himself. I think you've done about 90 over global grants yourself. I think your district, you're leading the way in Thailand. So well done, Jason. So that's why we really need you all to help us out. Okay, now I've come to a pleasant task for just a brief introduction of my counterpart from District 3310, RRFC, Dr. Shahul Hameed. And he's really one that really needs no introduction because the global grants that he has done, that he has assisted the clubs regionally, globally, speaks volume for his great work for Rotary. But for those newer Rotarians, especially those from our district who may not know Dr. Shahul very well, let me just share with you a little bit about this gentleman here who's going to share with us on global grants, a comprehensive guide. Dr. Shahul is with the Rotary Club of Singapore, and he was with the club quarter of century ago. He's been a Rotarian in the Rotary Club of Singapore and has served as a club president during the Rotary year 2013-2014. And he's a dental surgeon by profession, and he's also an adjunct professor as well in lecturing dentistry. So sometimes you'll find him talking on the phone, holding a drill with one hand, and probably giving guidance on global grants and patients. He does it so well, I don't think the patients can even feel that he knows that he's actually talking about global grants while he's working on them. And Dr. Shahul is, as I mentioned, an adjunct senior lecturer in the Faculty of Dentistry at National University of Singapore, and a council member with the Singapore Dental Council, and a member of the panel of advisors for the Family Justice Courts, Republic of Singapore. And apart from that, he's currently serving as the DRFC, and in the past 6 years, he's also served as the Grants, Stewardship, Scholarship, and District International Service Chairs for District 3310. And he's also appointed member of the Rotary Foundation's cadre of technical advisors from 2017 right to 2023. And his current interest is leveraging in Rotary's global grants to community projects and missions. And to date, he's assisted Rotary Club of Singapore, his home club, and clubs in the region in the application of more than 120 global grants. And as of today, RC Singapore itself already has some 61 global grants approved. That's probably more than my district will ever put up in the next 3 to 4 years. So that's an incredible record. And in recognition of his contribution to the community and for his work with global grants, Dr. Shahul has been conferred the honorary membership to 9 Rotary clubs around the world, right? In Indonesia, in the Philippines, in India, right? And he's also an invited speaker at Rotary Foundation seminars for districts, both in Singapore, in Malaysia, Indonesia, Taiwan, Philippines, Nigeria, and India, right? And he's also a recipient of Service Above Self Award and the Rotary Foundation Citation of Meritorious Service and the Republic of Singapore's Public Service Medal. So with that introduction of PP Dr. Shahul, I'd like you to take over and take us through your session, your comprehensive guide to global grants. Over to you, Dr. Shahul.
Right, thank you very much, DRC Leslie. And can I just shift it? Hang on, yeah? All right. Now, many thanks, DRC Leslie, for inviting me to be here today. It's indeed my pleasure to speak to your district again. And I thoroughly enjoyed my last visit to KL. It's almost 2 years ago. Yes, that's right. Now, this is a topic that I've been tasked to share with you. I just want all of you to just sit back and relax and just listen to whatever I have to say. The recording of this video is available, so please do not have to take notes or whatever. I'd be happy to even send you my presentation if it's required. Now, what is the Rotary Foundation? I think the minimum that you should go away after today's presentation is to know that the Rotary Foundation is a charitable arm of Rotary International, right? We are all Rotarians, we are all members of Rotary International, but please know that the Rotary Foundation, TRF, stands for the Rotary Foundation, and it's a charitable arm of Rotary International. Let's go through a little bit of the structure of some of the activities of the Rotary Foundation. So you can see here, the Rotary Foundation does several types of activities and grants. I've highlighted the humanitarian grants. That's where our interest is for today. And the humanitarian grants itself, we can broadly split it up into global grants and district grants. Now, the global grants is again highlighted. The reason, simple reason is that in our district 3310, we very hardly do any district grants. I would say more than 90% of our DDF is used for global grants. And global grants itself, we can easily divide it into three broad types of grants. And the one that we are most familiar with are the approved humanitarian global grant projects. There are some projects that's available as VTT, Vocational Training Team grants. And of course, there are occasionally scholarship grants, and usually in Singapore, we are the receiving country and receiving club for a number of scholars who would come from either Japan or USA to study in one of our institutions in Singapore. Again, our 3310, I'm not so sure of 3300, but 3310, we do not do any scholarship grants. We do not support that. For the simple reason that the scholarship grant would benefit one person, and I'm sure that person will contribute greatly to Rotary in the future. But the opportunity for a wider reach with a global grant where you can benefit so many more people, that is what we are concentrating here in 3310. Now, preparing a global grant, a comprehensive guide. Actually, to tell you the honest truth, DRC Leslie will share with you after today's meeting a series of slides that's prepared by Rotary Foundation, the top 10 things you can do to improve your grant. I think that will definitely cover today's lecture. But going through that lecture alone will be very dry for all of you, especially those who are doing it for the first time, and I thought that I'll add some spin to it. Right? So we just run a poll just to see what the audience is like. May I ask Dr. Bernard to just run the first poll? My club is planning to do at least one global grant this year, or you will be involved in one as well. You know, just a quick one. Just do agree, disagree, or unsure. The faster you do it, the faster we can continue. Otherwise, we're stuck at this slide. Come on, guys, let's do it. Do we have anything, Bernard? Okay, that's very good. So we have a very good percentage of attendees today, 3/4 who agree with this statement. Let's continue then. Can we close it? Okay, great. Now, just a few disclosures before I go to the actual talk itself. Number one, these are all my views. I do not represent the official TRF view, but the fact that I'm DRFC, I can tell you that I've checked and counter-checked my facts, but I still believe that I may not be 100% correct. So if there are any errors, it's completely mine. The second thing is that with the COVID-19 lockdown, I've not been able to travel since February. So for those of you who have listened to my lecture before, my apologies. There are no new slides from February onwards. So you are stuck with all the old slides I have. And the last thing is that I will just like to correct DRC, Leslie. I think I did not update the number of grants that RC Singapore has done. As of this morning, we've got 83 global grants approved. And for this, I have to thank both the board of the Rotary Club of Singapore for last Rotary year and this Rotary year, IPP Deepak and President Dinesh. Wonderful board, both give great support to the Club Foundation Committee. And last year was a record. Our club put together 52 global grants. We submitted 52 global grants. In the end, we had to pull some out because of the COVID-19 situation. But still, last Rotary year, we had 14 global grants approved. And this Rotary year is just 1 month old, and we've got already 13 approved. So 27 global grants approved just the past 13 months. So thank you very much. I know my President Dinesh is here, and some of the board members for this year and last year are also here. So thank you very much for the support, because without the Rotary Club in Singapore, I'm nobody. All right, so thank you. I really appreciate the support that the club has given me. Now, let's talk about what Rotary is all about. Who are we? Why are we joining this organization? Right? If you think about it, this statement is really, really good. I think it's something that I use for reference all the time. We are volunteers. All right, some of us are from other countries. We have some friends from Philippines, we have friends from Malaysia, Singapore. We're a global network of volunteers from 200 over countries. And what do? We spend our time, our talent, and our treasures, I must add that, to tackle the world's most pressing challenges. So we connect, we inspire, and we transform. So this is the basic premise of what we as Rotarians do. Everything else, if you talk about membership, you talk about public image, you talk about international service, you talk about community service, everything will focus towards this. We are trying to tackle the world's most pressing challenges. We come together, different background, different expertise, and we dedicate our time and talent for it. And what better to demonstrate it by a global grant? Now, the mission of TRF, just to refresh again, doing good in the world. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. It's a fantastic mission. Don't you think so? Doing good in the world. And the vision of TRF, it's a bit longer, but the summary is this: to make the world a better place. Now, let me take you on a journey around the world, just to share with you what Global Grants has achieved in countries other than Singapore. This is a group of school kids within the age of 10 and 14 years old in a school in Nigeria. Now in Nigeria, if you see 15 girls here, I can tell you that the rate of students, young people in this age group between 9 and 14 who are not in school is 28%. So 15 students here or 10 students here, you will see another 3 or 4 students who are out of school. I think that's the basic thing that we should expect of all our young people, to be in school. Look at the happy faces when you see them. I was on the 2nd floor when I took this picture, and I called out to them and asked them to give me a wave. And look how happy and carefree they are. But what is the future for them? In Nigeria, unemployment and underemployment for young adults under the age of 40 is a whopping 40%. Now with the COVID-19, unemployment rates in Nigeria is climbing up for everybody. It's climbing up to 30 to 40%. So what's the future hold for them? So these girls are queuing up for a global grant project that was approved recently in Nigeria. It is for vaccination against the HPV virus. HPV virus vaccination will prevent the development of possible cancers related to the HPV virus. And this is something that Rotary is doing on a large scale all over the world. And this is something that we are proud of to be involved in other parts of the world. What if you are young and disabled in Nigeria? What is the future for you? The future looks bleak. If you look very carefully, you will see, if you look very carefully at the slide here, this little boy is actually holding a card that has a Rotary logo on it. So Rotary has sponsored through global grants for this child to be fitted with limbs. Over a period of time, as he grows taller and bigger, his limbs need to be changed. that is a global grant project. Let's go to India. The Rotary Foundation, through several clubs in Taiwan and in Singapore as well as in India, had a new spanking building built for 150 students in a village about 3 hours away from Kolkata. The grant enabled the kids to study in a proper building other than the village school that they used to have, and avoid problems during the monsoon season where flooding means that they are unable to function in their school. But there are other needs as well. What are they? Food. You have a building, they have spanking new uniforms, they are still asking for help. And this is the basic need to feed themselves. What about these children, indigenous children who are displaced in the state of Odisha? They need help as well. They need help from Rotary, they need help from anybody who can do it. And the first thing on their list is food. To feed 10,000 girls in one facility and another 15,000 boys also in the same facility. What about in other parts of India? When you have a proper school, when you have food and you have nutrition, what's going through the minds of this girl? They have only 2 toilets for 1,000 girls in the school. Running water? No chance. And this is a school that we visited, and Rotary did a great project. And we visited the toilet block. The first question we asked, are you kidding me? There's only 6 toilets for 1,000 school. The Rotarians told us, Dr. Shahul, they only had 2 toilets before and there was no water. Now they have 6 toilets with running water. Right? So there are a lot of things that Rotarians can do. Let's go to Vietnam. What are the chances of this 10-year-old, 11-year-old girl staying in school and finishing her elementary school? I'll tell you the statistics. 25% chance that she will leave school. Why? Because it's the job of young girls and girls in that particular village to have the task of fetching water from a remote location because they have no running water. Rotary came together, did a global grant, and this girl now has running water in her home. But the bigger impact is that it allows her to go to school uninterrupted. What about being born with a congenital problem like cataract? Rotary is doing a great job in India to try and reduce avoidable blindness. And without the help of Rotary, I can assure you, this little girl will not be able to see. And we know that for sure because when we visit this hospital, and soon after this photo was taken, the father who's in blue here came to us and very meekly asked whether they can take a photo of all of us. And of course we say, sure, take a photo. After the photo was taken, he told us that the reason why the photo is taken is that he wants to show his daughter the Rotarians who paid for the surgery so that she can see. Philippines. This is a project with the Rotary Club of Rizal West, our sister club. Building is there. The kids are fairly well adjusted. But they don't get any help if they need glasses to read. There's no screening program, and the kids will go through school not knowing that a simple pair of glasses will correct their vision for them to do better in school and better in life. The work of Rotary is everywhere, fellow Rotarians. Let's go somewhere more developed in Taiwan. I was sent by Rotary Foundation to do an audit of this project, a mobile dental clinic. The first thing that impressed me of this group of Rotarians, none of them are dentists. I know for sure because this guy here with glasses, his name is Lawyer. And the other guy on the extreme right, his name is Shu. And the other guy's name is Concrete. And none of them are called dentists. But they came together to do a global grant project to provide a mobile dental clinic to reach the remote areas of Taiwan. I didn't know that there are remote areas in Taiwan. But after I followed them, traveling 3 hours to areas where they used to have mines, disused mines, schools where they have only 12 students for the whole 6 levels, that is really remote to me. And this is the things that's touching the lives through global grants. Welcome to Singapore. We've done a global grant called Football Plus, where they use soccer to teach young at-risk youth to be able to tell the difference between right and wrong, to engage them in sports so that they stay away from risky activities. It's very important to catch them at this age, before they turn puberty, before they reach 12 to 14 years old, to impress upon them that what they do matters to the rest of their life. Because their parents may not be around, their parents may be incarcerated, and they come from broken homes and reconstituted family, meaning the father is divorced from the mom and is remarried and have his own family, and the mother is the same, and they may be living with half brothers and half sisters, and things are difficult for them. What if you miss the boat? What if they have developed risky activities and they have been incarcerated? We did a similar global grant in Singapore for youth at risk and youth who are already incarcerated, second-time drug offenders who need help from the community. And what if they come out after they've finished serving their sentence? What can they do? What about a vocational project for them so that they come out feeling useful to society and not being dependent on what they were dependent of before they get incarcerated, and they will not go back to their old ways? Our grant actually did a mentor's handbook for youth offenders, and the money was used to do this project so that we can help youth at risk. How about suicide? Every year in about July, the Singapore authorities will release the figures on suicide. I can tell you, fellow Rotarians, the #1 cause of death for young people between the age of 10 to 29 in Singapore is suicide. Every 4.5 days, so if you start the week on Monday and today is Thursday evening, one young person between the age of 10 and 29 would have committed suicide. Every 4.5 days, right? That's 3 suicides for every 2 weeks. That's 3 suicides too many. What are other mental issues that are facing our young people? Do we assume that they are going through the same kind of stress as we do? Can a global grant help to relieve their problem? If you can just save one life, if you can just avoid one suicide, I think that's a great thing to do. Now, for the information of Rotarians, I've just gone through the 6 areas of focus, from peace and conflict resolution, personal conflict, conflict within yourself, disease prevention, water and sanitation, maternal and child health, basic education, as well as economic and community development. So your grant that you hope to do has to fall within these areas of focus. Of course, there's a 7th one, but it's not going to come until 1st July 2021, and we shall not talk about it now. And another thing that I want to highlight to you is that the Rotary Foundation advise and recommend that you use this logo. These are the official logos, and any of these logos are not recognized as the official logos anymore, so please avoid it if you can. Oh my god, what happened? Sorry. All right, and when you're talking about a particular area of focus, you're supposed to highlight it in blue on the top left. So this slide talk about conflicts among youths. So an appropriate time is to highlight this icon and with the rest in gray. Now, now that I've given you a flavor of what global grants can do and what you can hope to achieve, let me just remind ourselves why we are here. We are a global network of volunteers. We use our time and we use our talent to solve challenges. And remember this, our mission and vision. Let's go back to this project. Let's go back to this project. How did this group of Rotarians know that a mobile clinic is something that they need to do for the community, considering that they had no dentist in the group at all? So this is what we are here for, to connect what is already completed, looking back at what has already been completed, and see how we can learn to plan for our own projects in the future. right? Preparing itself has a lot of meaning. You can have a template and start writing, but more importantly is the thinking that goes behind it. The thinking that goes behind it is the most important. We'll go through some examples in a while, but first of all, I just want to highlight that the Rotary Foundation has a lot of resources, and I do a lot of reading. Even now, if I'm looking at a grant which I'm not so sure, it is very important for you to have all these reading materials available for you for reference. In the old days, before internet and everything, you hear all the words of wisdom from your seniors, from your past presidents, from your PDGs, and we take it as gospel truth. But now you don't have to. You can challenge me and look up the actual resources itself and say, hey, Dr. Shahul, whatever you are saying is outdated already. And I can see from your own district, you have your own online trading modules. If you go through your website, and same thing in our district, and this is the icons that we use for our district. And we really encourage you to go through this seminar called the Grant Management Seminar. It's about a 3.5-hour seminar, but trust me, you can do it at your own pace, and it allows you to download all the resources that you will need to start a grant. How nice is it? Everything in a package, so as to speak. So you know the breadth of the whole requirement, and you can use it as a reference in the future. So why are we putting ourselves through this? Why is it so troublesome? Is doing global grants, is it really troublesome? Let's find out. Bernard, please, let's have the second poll while I take a break.
Here it is.
So this is the poll. I find that the process of global grant application very complex and difficult to navigate. Let's be honest, I just want to know among the audience today, what are your thinking like, and perhaps at the end of it, or maybe the next time we see each other, you can tell me whether this has improved or your opinion is still the same. Come please everybody, just click on it and click submit.
Sharing results here.
Right, so we have 43% who agree, all right, and 34% is unsure. So we only have 1/4 of you guys who disagree with this statement. All right, that's a good start. That's a good start. All right, so we have some work to do. Now, let's do a retrospective kind of study, retrospective kind of look as to how we can put together a global grant and what are the lessons learned. I want to share with you this project. It's the Help the Children project. We have a 10-year experience with this project. I must confess that I only got involved with the project in 2012, 2013 onwards. So my experience for the years before that is garnered from the Rotarians who are our partners from the Rotary Club of Malang Central. Now, let's look at this boy. What do you think is going through his mind? He's 11 years old, he's in primary school. He comes from a village that is fairly remote from places like Singapore. What do you think goes through his mind? Is he concerned about his end of the year exam? Is he concerned about going to a good secondary school? Or is he looking forward to after school so that he can do some part-time work, maybe become a car valet or parking valet, so that he can direct traffic and earn a few thousand rupiahs for his family? What about this girl? Do you think she's concerned about how well she can do in sports so that she can get into a better school? This is something that a lot of Singaporeans think about. How well she can do in other CCAs? No. She has bigger problems than that. So how do we know what these two children from and their friends and their parents and their family, how do we know what they need? So we'll study this project, we'll study how we've learned from this project and see how we can apply for our own grant. Right. So this is a snapshot of one of the years in 2011. And in 2011, the Rotary Club of Malang Central had a cooperation with Rotary Club Singapore for the very first time to do what I understand and how RC Singapore understand it to be the Help the Children project. Now, our interest at that time, this is a picture in 2010, and you can recognize our honorary member Mohan Vaswani, one of the big supporters of grant projects in Singapore. Our interest at that time was with an orphanage in Malang, the Bhakti Luhur orphanage. We were doing quite a bit of work over the past few years, at least the Rotary Club Singapore, and before that, for almost 50 years, honorary member Mohan and his family has been associated with this orphanage. So in 2008, 2009, 2010, our club started doing more and more work with the orphanage, and we had a conversation and we thought that it is not right to do a Rotary kind of project without engaging the local Rotarians. So we reached out to Rotary Club Malang Central, at that time the only Rotary Club that is functioning in Malang. There used to be another one, Rotary Club Malang itself, but it's closed down before we got involved with the projects. And we asked them a simple question. We did not impose ourselves. We asked them, what is your signature project? So they explained to us that some of them are teachers. At that time, Rotary Club Malang Central, I think, had about maybe 15 to 20 members. I know PDGL is here, so I stand corrected. But it was a small club doing small projects, but totally dedicated Rotarians. Some of them are ex-teachers, some of them are current teachers, and through their profession and through their vocation, they have enough exposure and they know what is the background that is needed. And to them, what is needed, and we agree at that time, to them what was needed was school-going items for children so that they can continue going to school and so that they will reduce the truancy rates in the school. We were very impressed because when they give away the items, they did not just give away to the children. They make sure there was a large meeting with the parents. And that was something that we learned very early on, that we should engage with not only the students, the beneficiaries, we should engage all the stakeholders. We engage not only the parents, but we also engage the teachers. We had a chance to talk to each and every one of the parents. We had a chance to visit their homes, to see the conditions that they are living in, and we try to understand what is the number 1, number 2, and number 3 help that we can give to them. Another thing that was very impressive with Rotary Club Malang Central, for every child that received the help, the Rotarians actually went to the homes of the children, and this you can see is child number 9 and child number 10, and they had a small survey form. They wanted to know what is the family income. They wanted to know where the address is, and they actually go to the homes. And that is something that they have been doing and we have been doing from Rotary Club Singapore whenever we visit Malang, to go to the houses to see and speak to the beneficiaries. It didn't stop there. The Rotary Club Malang Central, together with Rotary Club Singapore, as the project gets bigger and bigger, we started to engage the authorities. We speak to the mayor, we speak to the Department of Education. We want to make sure that we are doing the right thing, that we are not giving something that we want to give, but something that the school, the children, the teachers, and the government wants and encourage us to give. So that's the key thing that we must do. We should never impose our ideas on them. I'll give you an example. If you have 200 computers to give, and you go to a location and say, look, here, I have 200 computers, I can tell you for sure, no school will turn you down. But what they actually need, fellow Rotarians, maybe is to fix the leaking roof and not the computers, right? So the 200 computers, thank you very much. We'll send them tomorrow and we have a brand new roof. We got so much cooperation and so much goodwill, so much so that every time that we get to visit Batu, for example, one of the areas that we are doing, we get very good reception here. You see Honorary Member Mohan addressing the whole council of the Batu Mayor's office. And this is the time that we get to speak to the authorities to know exactly what else that we can do to make our project better. Now, needs assessment, for lack of a better word, is a science that we have to understand and we have to apply. It is not something that we should take very lightly because your global grant application would require a needs assessment. So this is one slide from the special slide that I was telling you about. the 10 things that you can do to improve your grant application. And this is number 1, top of the list, needs assessment. So what is need assessment? Look at this thing. The community assessment tools is something of a document that's available, multi-pages, and it's something that even up to today, when I'm preparing for the talk and wanting to cross-check references, I will still flip through this document to see how it can help me. Now, what is community assessment? Let's say you want to help these children. You have an idea. Somebody comes to you. It always starts with an idea. Maybe a fellow Rotarian has some connection and tell you like, look, you know, the teachers are telling me that a lot of kids are staying away because their parents cannot afford. Or every time the kids go to school, they get a scolding because they don't have a particular textbook, or they don't have proper shoes, or they cannot walk a long distance because the shoes are in terrible state. So you hear all these things. I mean, I hear all the time, you hear all the time as a Rotarian. And the thing is, can you help us? Right? So that's a good start. So you know that you already have a community that you want to help. But please do not stop there. Do not just give whatever that is being requested, either by the beneficiary itself or even by somebody you know, a mutual acquaintance. Go there and do your own community assessment. So you have an idea to find out what is it that this community is strong in. What are the weaknesses? What are the assets? And what is it that they normally need? So there's an acronym for it. So it's called SWAN, S-W-A-N. So if you take this education project that we are talking about in Malang, what is it that they need? They need school books, they need school uniforms, and they need money for supplementary school fees. General school fees is free in Indonesia, but they need some extra money for supplementary school fees. And that is something that we can give so easily. But if you do that alone, you may not be able to give a really good holistic approach and a solution to the community. We also found out other interesting things. We found out that one of the problems is the mindset of the parents, especially when it comes to girls. Some of them do not feel that there's a need for their daughters to go to school. Right? So we also found out something very interesting. We talk about truancy rate. We also had a problem with some of the school where teacher absenteeism is rampant. So we found out that teachers are sometimes not motivated to go to school. There's no proper structure for them to gain training. There's no career pathways for them. And some of them even have to do other work, other part-time job to supplement their income. So how are we going to empower the teachers? So that was an interesting thing that we found out. And we also had to find out what is it that we can do for the family so that they can be independent. We cannot be giving school uniforms and books every year in and out. And I tell you something else that we didn't know. Some of them have siblings in the same school. Right? So you help one, you got to help the other. So these are the things that we have to find out. So you can see that the SWAN acronym is very similar to this SWOT analysis that we use in our corporate world. So please apply it in the same manner. Right? So why do we need this? We need it because we really need to understand the dynamics, and you cannot just do it over the phone. You cannot just talk to a few people. Sometimes you start by talking to the parents, and then you realize that you also need to talk to the teachers. And then when you thought that your things are done, you realize that you need to talk to the school principals, because the teachers will tell you something that they are not, maybe they're not getting enough support from the principal, and this is something that we need to talk to them as well. Then when you think that you can have an idea of how to help for the parents, the ideas and solutions must come from them. Right? I'll give you another example. When we wanted to work out a livelihood program for this project, we went around observing the families, and we realized that most of them are farmers. They have a small shed, a small house, and maybe a slightly bigger piece of land where they will till the land for farming, for agricultural products. And we said, why not we do a project that can make them more efficient in their farming methods, because this would translate into income for them. You know what they tell us? Say, Pak Shahul, we stay here, we work for the landlord. This is not our land. Right? So something that we learned, right? So we shouldn't assume. So in the end, when we talk to the parents, we realize that it's the women, it's the mothers that are at home most of the time, and the fathers usually are out working. And they suggested that we should do a cooking program so that they can do, they can learn and do certain kind of cooking like cakes and cookies, and they can use it to supplement their income or even start a small business, especially when it comes to celebrations like Eid, where they can actually supply cookies and cakes to the other people in the village. Now, if you do an effective assessment, you will find out more about the whole project than you knew from the beginning. Like what have I explained to you before. If you find out after the assessment, you are self-satisfied and you only get whatever that you understand, even without doing the assessment, please relook again. There could be some flaws in your assessment. The community assessment tools book give you a series of guidance as step by step and tell you how to do it. So this is a recommendation, the protocol, so as to speak, to set up a committee, include your partners, cooperating organization and vendors, identify who are the stakeholders. That means the teachers, the parents, the school principals, and the government agencies, and you use the community assessment tools. At this point, I just want to share something with you. When I was a young dentist, maybe about 20 years ago, 20, 30 years ago, I was very much into learning all these latest techniques about dentistry. And I remembered a group of us actually, or not a group, maybe 3 or 4 of us actually flew to Sydney to listen to this implant guru, as to speak. You know, dental implants was big time at that time. And we went to listen about how this guided surgery and some new way of doing dentistry and implants that will allow the patient to have implants and teeth on the same day, you know. So we were all so excited. We paid a lot of money. It was a 3-day full course. And the first day we received something like this. It's a set of protocol, 15 steps you should follow for you to be able to do this successfully. So typical smart ass, like people like us, we're all whispering and talking to each other. We're looking at the 10, 15 steps. We say, number 3, not important. Number 5, forget it. Number 6, it's a repeat of number 3, you know. And while this was going through our mind, can you imagine the professor actually read our mind and say, gentlemen, these are protocols. And if you want to duplicate the success that we are having here, you must follow each and every step. So in the same thing of this community assessment and how to do it, please look at it carefully. Set up a committee. You must set up a committee. You must have partners involved. You must sit down and really identify who the stakeholders are. If you only say me and my international partner and the teachers and that's it, you know, you're not really casting your net wide enough. So please do not skip any steps. And if you do skip, please have a reason for it, so that when you look back, you know what are the things that are lacking in your assessment. Right? So above all, you keep an open mind. You'll be surprised at some of the things that you will learn. Now, there are 6 community assessment tools. I will not go through it. I will just highlight it here. And the book will also tell you the different features of each of the assessment. You really need to understand it and choose the relevant assessment so that you can do the assessment properly. And this is the booklet that I was telling you about. Please read it at your own leisure and use it as a reference. Now, Rotary Foundation itself, for the Global Grant, requires you to fill up this assessment results form. It's the same for everybody. It's like a test, but only that you know the questions beforehand. All right? So these are the typical questions that you get, and you must try your best to use this form as a tool, a communicating tool between yourself and the Rotary Grant officers, between yourself and your district officers. All right? Please give as much relevant information as possible, and please do not, I've seen maybe 30 or 40 of these assessment results forms, and you'll be surprised at some of the answers that some of you have written. Example, beneficiary community or institution. Teachers in Malang. All right, okay, that's brief enough. Groups in the community that will receive a clear and direct benefit. Elementary teachers in Malang. Beneficiaries democratic information. Teachers in Malang. come on, fellow Rotarians, this is a document for you to communicate. It's a chance for you to get your grant approved. It's a chance for you to explain. Don't go to the other extreme and fill up information that is not required. All right, it's very, very specific, and think and rethink even after you fill it up that it makes sense not only to you, but to somebody who's reading it for the first time. Now, what methods do you use? I've seen a survey, I've seen a form that tick each and every one. All the 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I say, okay, you guys are really hardworking. Can I have a copy of the survey, please? No, we don't have it. Can I have the transcript of the community meeting? No, we didn't take any minutes. Right? So whatever that you think, what methods that you use, it must be something that is evidence-based and something that you can back it up. All right? This is not a PhD paper that you must have all the references. But if you conduct a survey, at least you must have the raw data, right? Okay? And these are the other questions that they ask you, right? Especially the last two here. You must list the things that you would address and list the things that you will not address. You cannot solve all the problems in the world, but the fact that you know some of the things that you cannot address means that you have given the whole thing a thought through. Right? I'm sorry, I'm getting a lot of feedback. Okay, so these are the questions that the rest of the questions that's available here. And I understand the rest of the questions. Bernard, are we good, Bernard?
Yes, okay. Just
Yes,
now.
you can hear you now. Yeah, thanks.
Right. Okay, so I understand that DRSA Leslie may want to do a separate session to discuss how to do this form. So I shall just go through very quickly. Now, if you have an existing project, a project that you've been doing all the time, that would be a great reference. A pilot project is always a great reference. All right, so these are some pictures of the project. It started in 2009 with a small class of 20 students from one school. And then when we got involved, our Rotary Club sponsored, I think, 100 students. And then when we did the global grant in the year 2014, 2015, when PP Pelita was the president, it was for 500 students. We did a cooking class as well for the parents. And this was the project. And I'd like to thank all the clubs who participated in this first ever project. And the signature item for each project is a bag, and they come in different color. And the project itself, in that time, was given recognition by Rotary Foundation. We didn't know that we had ticked all the boxes, so as to speak. And Rotary Foundation actually sent us an email on the 28th of May 2014 asking for permission for this grant document to be used as a reference sample guide for grant applications for other clubs worldwide. So it was indeed a feather in our cap. Many thanks to Rotary Club Malang Central and District 3420. PDGL, please send my best regards to Rotary Club Malang Central and all the PDGs who have helped us with this project. Now, so the project went on in 2016, the second round of global grant for 800 students. And in 2017, we did the third round of global grants for 1,250 students. So this year, we took a break from providing school-going documents. We concentrated on a teacher training program, and that has been approved for the year 2020-2021, just July this year. Now, another document that you must really look at is this global grant application template. Some of the questions are already highlighted. Some of the questions are already available in the community assessment community assessment questions, and you just have to cut and paste. If you got that right, you can just cut and paste, right? So this is another document, 10 steps to fulfill your grant application, and there's a template available in Word document. You can write it first and make all the corrections and share in your committee before you transpose the final draft onto the online portal. So this is a document. I think DRC Leslie will be able to give you this PowerPoint presentation, the 10 ways to improve your grant application. Now, global grant projects. Now we've heard all these things, and I'll just give you something that went through my mind when I was doing it back in 2013, 2014. To me, in my mind, there's 4 things that I look at. Number 1, the subject, area of focus. What are we looking at? Are we looking at water? Are we looking at environment? Are we looking at something that we cannot solve? Right? So keep it there, 6 areas of focus, really broad. Don't bang the table and ask why we cannot do environment, why we cannot do emergency, post-disaster, low-cost housing or whatever. There are enough things in the world and enough things in these 6 areas of focus for you to concentrate on. What is the intervention? Ask yourself, what is it you're doing? You're providing books, you're giving vaccination. You must be clear what intervention is, and best is concentrate on 1, 2, or 3 very, very clear and concise intervention. Who are the beneficiaries? Who are you giving it to? You must know. And what happens after you've given all this? What is the benefit? Can they avoid cancer? Can they go to school? What can they do? So if you keep these 4 areas in mind, 4 broad factors in mind, this is what I call the golden rule of GG applications. All right. Now, another document that you must really look at when you're looking and thinking about a global grant is this policy statements. What is allowed, what is not allowed. All right. So this is an example of what is allowed. You can strengthen healthcare system. You can improve the capacity of local healthcare professionals. You can train nurses. You can train doctors. You can train paraclinical professionals. All right. Some of the things that you can do. You can provide equipment in remote locations. Whatever equipment that you give must be current. And you can even do things to control diseases transmitted by mosquitoes. Dengue, people, dengue. All right, we can do this. Right, dengue is so prevalent here in Singapore and Malaysia. What is it that you cannot do? If you're just buying equipment, you cannot qualify as a global grant. All right, so don't bang your head and get all frustrated as to why my grant is declined, why my grant is rejected, why the grant officer is asking me so many questions. It's there. It's in the policy statements. Please read it. Right? So I know that 3300 had a program on autism, a grant on autism approved. So congratulations. I thought that was a fairly difficult one and they got it through. So these are the things that we can learn. But it's there. Nutrition programs, feeding programs, very big in Philippines, also a problem. Right? Because whatever that you feed the kids, when you stop the feeding program, they tend to lose whatever that you've given them. Okay? Now, very quickly again, I know I'm running out of time, but let's go very quickly. The next series of slides are not from TRF. It's my own personal slides I just want to share with you. Right? If you want your program to be successful, identify a vulnerable population. Every country, even in Singapore, anywhere you are, there are groups that need help. These people, for some reason or other, are not as privileged for the rest of us. So if you can identify them and do something for them, that'll be a great start for your project. Your global grant must have training element. It must have training elements. If it doesn't have, think about it and see how you can include training elements. The reason is very easy, right? Training is something that they cannot give away, right? And lifelong skills. After you've trained them, they've acquired the skills, whether it's hairdressing or cooking or whatever project that you can think of, computer skills, English, teaching, these are the things that they've learned and some things that they cannot sell, they cannot trade, they cannot exchange, and they cannot lose. So lifelong skills means lifelong, all right? Last thing, think about something that make it sustainable. What is sustainable? Very easy. What if your project's funds are over? Everything is finished and you have to walk away. Will the effect still be there? Can the project still continue? All right, you ask yourself that question. And the last thing, the initial application for global grants is not easy, right? It's just like riding a bike. You are going to fall. Expect it. It's not just learning how to ski. You have to fall. If you don't fall, you'll never be able to ski. You'll never be able to ride a bike, right? But when you can finally do it and get it approved, that's when the rewards will be worth it. All right, I call it Shahul's 5 criteria for global grant success. It's a nice infographic here, so if MD wants it, I'll give it away for free. Right? Now, so who are we again and what do we hope to do? All right, we see a world where people unite, take action, and create lasting change. Right? Not only across the globe, in our communities, in ourselves. In our district, we've started this movement, Know Your TRF. What we want to do is to raise awareness. We want to raise funds and we want to do good in the world. So raise awareness, I spent the last 45 minutes or so talking about what we can do what the foundation does and what Global Grant can do. But I just want to introduce you to somebody. I'm sure some of you have heard of this gentleman, past President Ravi Shankar Dakuju from Bangalore. He did something amazing when he became president on the 1st of July 2018. I think some of you can guess already. He gave away 1 billion rupees. Before you take out your calculator, I'll save you the trouble. It's 14.7 million US dollars, the largest donation by an individual if you exclude the Gates Foundation. So the question that everybody asks, even before that, he's not a multi-billionaire. Yes, he has money, but he's not a multi-billionaire. 14.7 million giving away to the Rotary Foundation represents 70% of his wealth. 70% of his wealth. So if you look at your bank account today, and if you're prepared to give 70% of your wealth, hats off, right? So this man did it, and we're all so proud of him. I had a chance to meet him in India, and I had a good conversation with him. The question that everybody asked him is, why are you giving away 70% of your wealth? His answer was very simple. When he was growing up as a boy, his father passed away very early on. His mother struggled with very little money in the bank account. And he says, as a young boy, when he knocked on the doors of his neighbors asking for food, nobody turned him away. Nobody turned him away. Everybody gave him something. So for him, giving away 70% of his wealth to him is giving back. It's not giving away. It's something that we all can learn. So I ask you fellow Rotarians to come together to invest in humanity. This is a picture of two boys from the Rotary Club of KL Di Raja's Children's Home in KL. That's one of my favorite places to visit every time I go to KL. Thank you, PP Kamfat, for doing such a great job. Now, we want to encourage all of you to give. Every Rotarian every year. What does it mean? You can do good in the world, and it's always better to give than to receive. Trust me on that. It's better to give than to receive. What's the difference between us, who the haves, and them, who are the have-nots? Can we choose who we are born as? We can't. All right. I always remind ourselves that it's always better to give than to receive. The key and the call right now is for Rotarians in our district, and I hope even to 3300, to think about giving $100 US per Rotarian per year to the annual fund. If you have an occasion, a birthday to celebrate, if you have an anniversary to celebrate, if you have another grandchild or you have a newborn to celebrate, think about giving and commemorating this event with a $100 donation to the annual fund. If we can get each and every Rotarian to do that, you mean that we can do more good in this world. So what can your $100 do? Your $100 US will enable this child in Vietnam to have a toilet in his house and to have running water and to avoid diseases for waterborne disease, and the fact that he can go to school peacefully and not miss classes because of illness related to the lack of water. Your $100 will be able to pay for equipment to help this child in Indonesia for his hearing impact problem. Even the simple screening will be enabled to tell us how bad his hearing deficiency is and what kind of help can be given to somebody like him. Your $100 will be able to pay for school desks and benches for children in China as well as in Taiwan. Your $100 will be able to pay for up to 4 vaccinations for HPV vaccine in Nigeria. Your $100, fellow Rotarians, will allow this boy to walk on 2 prostheses that can be made in a Rotary Center in Nigeria. And your $100 will enable one child to go to school with all the school-going needs that he needs for 1 whole year. And you also pay for this mother to be able to go through a course and buy all the capital expenditure equipment that she needs to start a small baking business. And your $100 will pay for the chickens in the background for this lady to have a livelihood to support her disabled child. And your $100 will go a long way to help the pandemic. So fellow Rotarians, the number of projects that you can do is limitless. Some of us are good at grants and we do it, but we need your pockets, we need your treasures, and we ask that you consider giving $100 to the annual fund each year as a commitment as a Rotarian to support your own foundation. So thank you very much. Before we end, can I just ask Bernard to run a simple poll? Do you think that giving $100 to the TRF annual fund is a good idea and something you yourself personally would like to do? Thank you very much. Over to you, DRC Leslie. We'll see the poll result later.
Thank you, RFC, Dr. Shahul. I was so spellbound, I'm almost speechless. Thank you for that fantastic presentation. Now, before we move on to the Q&A and all that, could I invite our EMGA and our district's grants chair, immediate past District Governor Yu Cheng Lim, who is also our newly minted Ashklam Chairs Circle member, to propose a word of thanks to our speaker today, PP Dr. Shahul.
Thank you, PG Leslie. First of all, RRFC PDG Jason Lim from District 3350 Thailand, District DRFC PDG Leslie Saludin of this thing, and my fellow Rotarians. I consider it a great honor to propose a vote of thanks to our distinguished and knowledgeable speaker, Dr. Shahul Hameed, DRFC of 3310 in Singapore, who graced us online with his very informative and comprehensive address on the do's and the don'ts in applying global grants. It may give you a bit of sleepless nights. That set a perfect platform for Rotarians now to take up the challenge, and of course, setting the way to a successful global grants application, which our district is facing a lot. I'm sure Dr. Shahul is ever ready to help if any one of us face any obstacle in your global grants application. It's only one phone call or one email away. Knowing him, once again, Dr. Shahul, we will ever be grateful to you, and thank you for sharing your wisdom with us tonight. Thank you. Well done.
Thank you.
Thank you, IPDG Leo. And perhaps we could do the Q&A session right now. We have got, and those of you who would like to pose some questions to RRFC, Dr. Shahul, please, you can put it through the message. We have got two that I would like to kick off this session with. The first is by DG A, Dato Bindi. She was just amazed with the number of global grants that Rotary Club of Singapore has been involved in, from 61 now to 93. And she thought there was a limit to 10. Dr. Shahul, could you clarify what is actually the limit that a club can be involved in global grants? Thank you.
No, you're right. There's a club can only have 10 open grants at any one time. So obviously, since 1st July 2013, we have completed quite a number of grants. Now, about 3 to 4 years ago, I actually wrote to the Rotary Foundation trustees. Right? So I'm one of those crazy people who actually read trustee meetings, minutes, and as well as the TRF accounts. It's something that something weird about myself that I have to share. Right now, why do I read the trustee minutes? You'll be surprised. It allows us to actually understand how the decisions well in advance. So I actually wrote to the trustees and I said, look, our Rotary Club Singapore, we have 150 members. We give 200,000 to the Rotary Foundation every year. Please allow us to do more projects. I came back and said, sorry, we have to be fair to everybody. Why don't you get other clubs in your district involved as primary contact, and you can still be involved as the funding partner, or you can still be involved in the project one way or another. So that's what we did. The latest round for the COVID-19, for example, we had quite a number of clubs in our district. I must recognize the Rotary Club of Singapore North, who with just one email agreed to be the primary partner for almost 10 global grant projects for COVID-19. And then we had recognition too also to Rotary Club of Mua, our sister club, who also readily agreed. And we have quite a number of clubs over the years. Rotary Club Bugis Junction, Rotary Club Marina City. I learned something as well in India. That club was very popular. Big clubs will actually set up e-clubs just so that they can apply for 10 more global grants. That's stretching it a little bit, but still, we involve quite a number of our clubs, right? And but we do all the work. We set up the platform, we do all the contacts, and we get them involved as primary contacts. We, of course, inform them what are their responsibilities and liabilities, and they make a decision through their board to participate at the end of it and authorize the project. And we will be with them all the way until the project is completed. So that's how we are able to do the large number of grants that we are able to.
Right.
50,
RFC, Jason, do you want to add, because your club have also done quite a number of global grants? Is there a cap to it? How do you manage with so many global grants within your district and your club in particular?
It is not difficult. Shahul is right. Every club has 10 open grants. But if one of your grant is overdue, either you are a local host or international host, the number will stop. Let's say, for example, your club has did 5 grants, but 1 grant is overdue. Number 6 grant will not be approved until you close the outstanding grant. So this is very important. Everybody has to take note. Sometimes clubs may ask me, my club has closed all my grants, but they forgot they are the international partner of another project, which that project is overdue. So you will be also locked. Your projects will not be approved also. So always remember, once the project completed, within 2 months, you have to complete your final report and submit to TRF. If your project is not completed within 1 year, please send a progress report. Then the timeline will be extended for another 12 months. Okay?
Now, the next question was posed by DG and Dr. Krishna Kumar. He was asking about, in the project of helping to save the children, how do you ascertain the sustainability and how do you make, to check the sustainability and the measurement of that particular project? How do you make it measurable and sustainable, Dr. Shahul?
Right. Yes. The same.
Which project is referring to, right? Yeah.
Yeah. The same question was asked by the Rotary Grant officer when we applied the second round.
Okay.
We have an internal benchmark. What we do is that the parents who are receiving help, we have a benchmark of 25%. 1/4 of them should be independent enough in the following year, so much so that they do not need their children to be in the program. That's number 1, right? So by doing this, okay, so we have one, let's say we train 100, we give a livelihood program for 100 parents, right? So the following year, at least 25%, at least 25 of them will be independent enough with this livelihood program being in place for them not to have their children needing help for the next cycle. So we track that, number 1. Number 2, of course, the parents who have gone through this program for this year, at year 1, will not be eligible to go through the same program in year 2 or year 3. They only get help once. Right? So what we want to do is empower the parents in such a way that they become independent. Now, it's not practical to say that all 100% of the parents must be independent the following year. And you know, there are a lot of other challenges available. And I tell you what, we did something more interesting. We also did from beginning to end. We trained them on how to prepare food, obviously. We trained them about food safety. We taught them about packing of food and preserving it and how to market their food. We did something else. We had an arrangement with the school teachers and principal to allow these parents to actually set up a table to sell their food just inside the school gate, right? So teachers and parents can actually buy the food from them before they leave the school. Just outside the school gate, you get all the ice cream vendors, you get all the sweet vendors and everything, right? So that allows them, so it's a beginning to end that we've thought through this program. But you are right, if you're just to give them the school going item, it's never ending. You got to give this year, the following year, and the following year. But we are committed to helping any of these kids who have received help from year one. We were committed to make sure that they complete the whole of the elementary education. If it cannot be covered by the global grant, it will be covered by a separate fund sponsored by the Rotary Club Singapore.
Thank you, Dr. Shahul. We have Rotarian Cynthia Tan who would like to address a question to the speaker. Cynthia, please unmute yourself and
sure.
ask a question.
Shahul, first of all, Dr. Shahul, thank you so much. This is an amazing presentation, very informative. Now, I know that your club is one of the leading clubs in getting global grants, and there are other clubs in the district, but by and large, I do not think in this district, global grant is a very, very prevalent thing that the Rotarians are doing. From your experience, what are some of the practical reasons that is really holding back clubs from moving this direction? Because this is really a multiplier effect. Can you share with us?
Right. So this is my analysis. Number one is a lot of us want instant gratification. So presidents come to office on 1st of July and they want the project done and completed in their year of office. That is something that is not possible for a global grant. I think we must look from the point of view of what the club can do for the community, right? When I was president in 2013, I put together 17 global grants. Only 6 was approved during my year. And I tell you, I was more relaxed when the other grants were approved because I don't have to give the speeches. I don't have to be up there. I don't have to prepare anything. Poor Pelita and poor Alan, who were presidents after me, who had to, do all the formal things. Second thing is that I don't think we work hard enough in Singapore to get grants done. We always feel that the government is doing enough. I just take COVID-19 for example. People will say, you're crazy, Shahul, you want to do a COVID-19 project in Singapore. And I tell you, we did a COVID-19 project $133,000 US. $133,000 US. I says, how do you get it done? I says, we get it done. You know how much money we use from our district DDF? Only 7,000. The balance came from 27 other clubs and districts around the world, including 3300. Thank you, DRFC, Leslie, and IPDG as well for supporting it. You see, if you work hard enough, there will be opportunities. And your club, Cynthia, has done one as well. Fantastic. And in my club, we have an internal standard that we want to do an average of at least one global grant every Rotary year. And we've done that. We've done 7 the past 7 years. I think we're doing well. And we're looking very seriously about doing more in Singapore. But I think we have to change the mindset. It's very difficult for new presidents to come in and grasp everything and have the project submitted and approved during their year. If we can change the mindset, I think some of the other clubs are putting together. I hope your club, for example, can do more than just one. I think you've had one approved. So it goes to show that your club can do it as well.
Yeah. I'm coming to you to help me put up one.
Pleasure. A pleasure.
Thanks so much, Shahul.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cynthia, for that, and Shahul for clarification. Were there any other questions? I did not see any been raised here, but perhaps we can bring up the issue of district grants versus global grants, because DGN brought up the issue that District 3310, 90% of DDF goes to DG and 10% goes, to GG and 10% goes to DG. Dr. Shahul, is that a correct reflection of what's been happening in your district? Just share with us, please.
No, if I have my way, 100% go to global grants. I tell you something very simply. There's no matching for district grant. I understand that some governors and some clubs feel that they've been giving so much to Rotary Foundation and they're not getting anything back. But I think we are shortchanging ourselves. If you really want to do a district grant project, why pay double for the project, right? Because if you apply for a district grant and you get $5,000, that $5,000 is actually worth $10,000. What's the point? I don't really see the point. We want to pay $5,000 and get $10,000 worth of money, not the other way around. So if you're paying $10,000 just to get $5,000 back, I think it's a crime. honestly, I think it's a crime. If you tell all your club donors, all right, guys, this year we're gonna give 20,000 to Rotary Foundation. In 3 years' time, we can get 5,000 to do our projects. I mean, it doesn't make sense. It really doesn't make sense. In fact, my proposal to you, DRC Leslie, is that if you have a district grant project to do, why don't my club, for example, give you that 5,000 and you give us 5,000 in DDF then, and we can do other projects, right? Because when you get your district grant, DDF from district grant, you are actually losing money. It really doesn't make sense.
Thanks for that view. I would like to now perhaps get past Governor Dr. Paul Lee, who has got a very strong opinion in this direction as well. Paul, just share with us about what you think about the logic of global grants and district grants, Paul, if you don't mind. Can I unmute Paul? Yeah.
First of all, let me thank you for directing the question to me. I was more than itching trying to answer. I have been advocating this idea that why are we so ridiculously stupid? I put it stupid by involving ourselves in district grants. It's like giving $10, take $5 back, and thanking people for giving you $5. It's stupid, but we continue to do that. And as long as we continue to do this, I tell you, is the main cause why the district is not moving ahead with global grant. Because it's so easy, take the money, go and give to your Santa Claus. It's easy. Giving money is the easiest thing to do, but we should take the challenge. Global grant is not totally difficult, but it is also not that difficult. We must dirty our hands and get it done. If we don't do it, it's exactly what happened when I was governor. The district at that time, there were no matching grants until we started doing it. Somebody must start getting it done. We mustn't be afraid, and we must take away the district grant so that the clubs have no choice but to come in for global grant. And that
it must be a dentist thing.
Yeah, no, because I know, so I've been fighting this for years and years. So when you said this, it actually gives me tremendous pleasure, because I don't understand my district why you continue to try and get back $5 and give $10. I said, hey, you take the 1,000 US dollars, put in the bank. After 3 years, you still got interest, This district grant, you put 1,000 US dollars there, 3 years. You take back $500 without interest, and then you thank people for giving you $500. I mean, what kind of logic is this?
So my proposal is this: if you have district grants to do, we will support your district grant, and you give us in exchange for DDF.
Yeah, I think you're totally correct, Shahul, because I hope and pray that the district will stop this for goodness sake, because we just cannot. Because it's absolutely, how difficult for us to contribute to bring out the DDF, and then you go and take back 50% after 3 years. I think we all must encourage all the clubs, not just in District 3300, but other districts, to go and do global grant. When you start, it's going to be difficult. I intentionally dirtied my hand by doing a global grant this year or last year. I personally went in and do it because I believe that unless I get involved, I won't know how to appreciate it. So I went in and did the global grant. It's not easy when you start doing it, but you get through it. I think the officers will help you. You can get it done. If you don't want to get it done, then you will never get it done. Thanks Shahul, for that encouragement that you have really put. I think
thanks, Paul and the two dentists for this view. So we got the incoming TRFC city, take note, incoming governor, DGE, DGN. This is the direction we should go for. And I think this is absolutely makes sense that we should not take up, the clubs are so happy to get the 4,000, 6,000, 8,000 ringgit to do a very small project which is sometimes so insignificant just for the heck of applying for a district grant. So all our district leaders, take note. I think we got to really focus now on the wonderful projects that we can do on a global grant. Now, is there any more burning question? We have time for just one more question because we want to wrap this up. It's been a long session. And I think as adult learners, sometimes Zoom goes beyond 90 minutes. It's going to be a bit too long. And I'm a little bit hungry. I need to have my dinner as well. Any more burning question from anyone at all?
Previously.
Yes, who is that?
Selva here.
Selva, yes, Selva. One last question from you, Selva. Yes, please.
It's not a question. I mean, there's a suggestion that why can't we have in our district a group of Rotarians who helps out the other clubs applying global grant, going through the process. Then it will help more clubs to apply global grant. Sometimes it allows those clubs alone to struggle on their own. It won't be beneficial. Like now we are getting help from Dr. Shahul. Now within our 3300, we should have a group of Rotarians with diverse backgrounds to sit down and mold each global grants. I mean, we can have a KPI, say by this Rotary year, we should have, if we are aiming for one global grant from our district, we should have 85 global grants. Then we can forget about our district grants.
Okay, can I interject on this? I think within the Leslie and me, we have actually been planning this. Yeah. We are planning that those clubs who have got global grant, we get them all together on Sunday, come together, and we do a hands-on, and we go through the project with you and help you to do it. I think that's the only way.
No, I've been telling this because
Jason, my good friend, is there.
Yes.
Maybe if there's no COVID, he can fly down and help us also.
We can't go to Bangkok.
Leslie, can I share?
Yes, please. Who's that, please? Yeah.
Jason.
Oh, RFC, Jason. Okay, sure. Please do.
Right.
Please do.
Okay, my district every year is doing between 90 to 100 global grants. All right. We do not stop clubs from applying district grant. But because we set up a global grant resource team to help them. So when we have a global grant resource team, they are successful with their global grant. So they will not think of even district grant. This is the key. Giving lectures on global grant may not be so productive. It is only the foundation. I would suggest, when we started, even one club, right now with Zoom, it's easier. We share screen. Once they do the first project, they know how to do the second project. This is very, very important. The main obstacles that people do not want to do global grant is because, number one, they do not have enough fund. Number two, they do not have international partner. This is where my district comes in. I say, okay, you have no DDF. You contribute to annual fund, we give you a certain amount of DDF. So our annual fund will keep on rotating. If they do not have international partners, we look for an international partner for them. But when you look for international partner for them, make sure you find a reliable international partner. If not, you will have problems with final report, right? So this is how our district is very successful in applying between 90 to 100 global grants per year, and we have at least 70 to 80 grants approved every year. So it's important for the district to set up a global grant resource team. Okay, so for this year and next year, I will be able to see every application of the whole region 12. So Shahul will be able to help, and I am more than willing to help my fellow Rotarians in District 3300. Right?
Thank you, RFC, Jason. We are very, very grateful for your assistance. And of course, Shahul is always a call away or an email away. But what Paul has said is correct. Let me echo that. Our district, we are planning a hands-on session because this session is not meant to replace an actual hands-on session where the clubs will bring their proposals, their needs assessment, their drafts, and we'll sit down at the Rotary Center and we'll have to go through that. And we have got a cadre, some sort of informal cadre of our team. Acronym is GREAT. GREAT meaning Global Grant Resource and Education Team. So that is our great team that we have in our district. We've got 4 or 5 gurus, mini gurus in our district. Paul is one of them now that has been hands-on in the Global Grant himself. We will have them to help us to do this workshop. So if I may, just to wrap up and thank, firstly, let me just thank DRFC, my counterpart from across the causeway down south, PB Dr. Shahul, in your valuable time in sharing this fantastic session, which has not only gave us an insight on, it basically worked up the appetite or demystified global grant, so to speak, to a lot of our Rotarians from our district, at least. I'm speaking from our district's perspective, as well as having also motivated us to dip into a pocket to come up with $100 at least minimum, if not 70% of our income. 7% is all. I'm also happy if I get 7% from my Rotarians. Yeah, and thank you so much for your time. And we look forward to working with you. And RRFC, Jason, all the way from Bangkok, thank you so much, sir, for your continued support. I know you have been very proactive in helping us with grants, and he's going to be a hell of a great RRFC because we can see things are moving. We had a Zoom meeting with our officers at Evanston, and arising from that, the turnaround time was improved, but sad to say, some of the responses are still 14 days. So we're still working on that, still work in progress. And for all our friends who come near and far, especially RFC, Anis, all the way from Bangladesh, and all the Rotarians from 7 countries in total, District 3310, as well as from India, from Thailand, Bangladesh, Philippines, Brazil even is here with us. Thank you so much for joining us. We hope that it's been a useful session, and we hope there's something to take back. And the recording of this session will be uploaded in our district portal. And my great appreciation to past Assistant Governor, my Ann Polino Chair, Dr. Burnett, who has been hosting this session, and he will make sure that everything is uploaded in our portal. So I'd like to end this session on a formal note, but if you would like to stay on and have a bit of 5 minutes network. Bernard, do you have a bit of time, Bernard? Have you got a surgery to conduct in 5 minutes, Bernard?
No.
Okay. All right. Dr. Bernard is a surgeon, and he can get called anytime for emergency sessions. So until he's called into operating theater, maybe we can have a little bit of network, because I think this is a great network of Rotarians from so many clubs, so many districts, and so many countries. It's so nice to see so many Rotarians here in this forum. So thank you. Good night. Stay safe. And we hope you really had some takeaways from this session. Yeah. All right. So
Bernard, can you share the result of the last poll, please?
Oh, the last poll. Yes, last poll.
See how much money we can raise today.
That's a good one. Thank you.
That is a very good one.
Yeah, that should.
What?
6%. Well
The
done.
last poll should be quite good.
Not 100%. Oh dear. Who is that 4%? Yo.
There are still some who are not convinced.
140 passport times $100 US dollars. That's quite a lot of money.
Anyway, the statistics is that we had 161 Rotarians who registered. I saw 150 at one point.
Yeah.
So it was a 93% registration rate. Fantastic. Well done. Thank you so much for that great attendance. It must be the star power of Dr. Shahul.
Yeah.
Good.
Fantastic.
No, actually, the 4%, meaning to say that they do not agree on $100, but they
Agree on 1,000.
They want to contribute 1,000.
I like the positive thinking, Jason. I like your positive thinking.
Moving
Very
forward.
positive. Where's Dr. Yablipki? Where's PP? My senior in school. Where's my senior?
But half the money was for research into the causes of suicide and how the results can be used to actually prevent suicide. We had a long 1.5 years exchange with the Rotary Grant officer. By the end of it, they asked us to reduce the quantum for the research. And the other half of the amount was actually to set up to enhance the call line that we already have with the Samaritans of Singapore, as well as to provide equipment and everything. What they have counter suggested is that instead of spending all the money, a lot of money on research, they say that it shouldn't exceed 20-25%. And they suggested the balance money should be used for direct outreach to the at-risk group. So if you do a program that can go from school to school, for example, to do an outreach program, either through a skit, a play, or a presentation, that would be able to qualify as a global grant for conflict resolution as far as personal conflict is concerned. But at that time, we didn't have the capacity to do that. But this is something that can be considered. We are talking to a club in India who has a similar model and how this can be done to push it through. So that's a short answer to your question. So basically,
Bindi, I don't know whether she's still in the room. DGN, Bindi, are you still here?
No.
Because she's working on a mental health initiative, Shahul. Also, one of the issues is also on suicide. We're getting the befrienders to have a powwow with us. We're getting a lot of NGOs, and arising from this, I think we are looking at perhaps a global grant as well in her year.
Is she still in the group? Has she left? Bindi
has left us, I think. I think Bindi has left us. Yeah.
She's not here.
But we will definitely be knocking on your door to look at getting some support for this global grant. Yeah.
Just a quick comment for this, all right? The very first global grant that our club got approved, just for the record, is a global grant in Singapore, and it's on mental illness. We work with a small organization that helps people who are recovering from mental illness. So the argument is that Singapore has the best medical facilities. So if you are not well, you are going through an acute problem, you need to stay in the hospital for a day, a month, a week, a year, whatever, we have the facilities who will support you. The moment you're well, thank you very much, go home now. But as you know, people with mental health problems never fully recover 100%, right? It's not like, that kind of stuff. So they need help all the time. So the grant actually pays for counseling training for volunteers and layperson and family members on how to act for counselors for people who are recovering from mental illness. So the grant actually paid for obviously the trainers, it obviously paid for the whole counseling session, but more importantly and very interestingly, the grant also paid for the taxi fare and stipend for the volunteer counselors to actually travel and the counseling sessions with people who are recovering from mental illness. So that was a great thing, I thought.
Yeah.
A bit because a lot of people say that we cannot do a global grant in Singapore. Even my governor at that time, PDG Gimbok, I hope it's not here. He says we better try doing elsewhere. But just to prove a point, we really worked very hard to get the first grant approved, and it was on mental illness. So I'll be happy to share that grant document with your district.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah. Great. We will certainly be linking up with you on that one. Anybody else? Anything that you would like to bring up on an informal basis in this little network session before we wrap up?
PDG Leslie?
Hi. Yes, Stephanie, hi.
I have a question to ask. Is able to get a sample of the Gift of Life Global Grant submission, Because I tried to get the application for the Gift of Life project, but we have find difficulty to get the need assessment to get it done because we don't have a waiting list to stand by. So was looking to see whether we have any sample of Gift of Life project been approved in other countries, that we can study,
Right, we have an approved global grant with the Rotary Club of Shanghai, the Gift of Life project in Shanghai. I think it's supported by the Gift of Life New York. Stephanie, if you just drop me an email separately, I will forward to you.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Good. Yeah.
I can connect with the guy in Shanghai as well. He's very, very much into this project. And I think
Dr. Shahul.
Well.
Dr. Shahul. Are you here?
I'm here.
From Damansara West. I just got a global grant for Bangladesh Gift of Sight. I once applied a global grant for Cambodia, but no one of the clubs willing to come in. And the global grant was abandoned because Rotary insists that given PDG Jason couldn't come in as a district. how can I go about? I've been doing Cambodia 4 times. I spend about 100,000 every time I go. So I am running out of money.
Okay.
I bring the whole competition together. So how can I go there? Even the PD
Which part of Cambodia?
outskirt. I have got very good contacts. I deal with the daughter of the Prime Minister. I bring in close to $1 million worth of equipment to set up. And even TRF agrees to allow me to manage the fund because I buy all the consumables here. But I think I got a reply from PDG Jason. District doesn't want to go in. Nobody wants to go in. So at the end, TRF says, sorry, no one in the district is willing. He even allowed me to take zero money from the primary host, just somebody to go in. So my diversion is the benefit of PDG Anis, Dato Anis. We just got 50K US to go to Bangladesh. So how can I solve the problem? Because I want to go back to Cambodia, but I cannot be self-funding 100,000 every time. I went 4 times already. How can I solve the problem?
Number one is I will connect you with Rotary Club Sentosa in Singapore. They've got 2 global grants approved in the past 2-3 months, past 6 months or something. So they have a very good connection with one Rotary Club. From my club, past President Jimmy right now is in conversation with a couple of Rotary clubs because we want to look into doing some projects in Siem Reap. But to really come to the point, you must cultivate a relationship with the Rotary Club. I know that you have the NGO, you have the money, and you have the beneficiaries. What is lacking is a Rotary Club. Unfortunately, the Rotary movement is not as strong as it is in Malaysia and Singapore. A lot of the Rotary clubs are overwhelmed. They are small. They are overwhelmed, especially the English-speaking ones. If you can speak Khmer, that's quite good. I mean, then you have a better reach. But you really have to spend time and get to know the people, and you really have to cultivate that relationship. So same thing. Can you imagine somebody come to Singapore and say they want to do a project? They have the money and everything. You just become a partner. You don't have to come out everything. Some of us may not like it as well. So you really have to spend time. You talk to them, ask them what is their project, what is it they want to do, and you have to invest the time and money with them. The same thing that we did with Malang Central. We started small. We just wanted to know what they want to do, and once we have the trust and relationship, it was easier to get along. I think you really have to start from the grassroots. Unfortunately, I cannot give you a club that you can go straight away and get it approved. I think Jason feels the same way about this. He feels that a lot of overseas clubs are coming in and demanding, not demanding, but just want a partner without engaging the local club. And the feedback he gets is that the local clubs feel underappreciated. I think we must go in and see what they need. I mean, if you go there, if you go to Cambodia often enough, why don't you spend some time, attend their meetings, get to know them, and generally, yeah, and that's the way forward, unfortunately.
Yeah, because it's a very sad thing. We have went there, we have spent almost $500,000 ringgit already, kind of things. And the last one time we wanted to go, of course, getting private funding after giving us $500,000 is difficult to ask people start giving me money. So I will take your advice to it. Maybe you can point to one of more friendly clubs. Then if I do visit Cambodia, I will pop in and see them and see whether they want to. My Taiwan sister club is ever willing to join us with the funding. So I need a base club. TRF has approved, they don't even need to come up with the cent. That's the beauty, and I can manage the money. It's as long as one club is there. Thank you very much, Dr. Shahul.
Welcome.
Okay. We are doing Bangladesh with E-Club, your E-Club, Chuban Singh.
Yes,
he's one of the partners. So we are not going now.
I think she's
not go now.
Here as well.
Yeah, Pan Singh is there somewhere. Okay, Dr. Shahul and friends, I think, thank you, Shahul. You had a long day. I think we need some rest. Thank you so much for the enthusiasm and the energy. Thank you, friends, for participation and the fellowship. Dr. Bernard, thank you so much. I think we can probably now leave the session and we adjourn. So thanks, Shahul, again. And
pleasure.
When we do a master class, the next round, we will see how we can work this out. I think we're going to do a little workshop, but I think we need one more session on possibly more discussive mode on the grants itself. Today was a very good opening session to get them all interested and excited about why you should not be embarking on a global grant. You know, next round is we're going to start with their paperwork already. So we want them to do that. Hey, you know, I think we've got about 10 clubs and action group that has got some prelim work done, and I think we're all keen to explore that. So let me work something out with you on that.
Just to let you know, DRFC, I received an invitation from RC Subang. I think he is here as well to speak at the
Raj is here. Yeah.
November. So first off the mark. Happy to accept. Happy to accept and to speak to whatever topic that you want at your club meeting.
Okay. This is a Zoom talk. Yeah, they've been getting speakers from all over the world. So you are definitely one of their star speakers. They've marked out some very good speakers they've had in their, what they call it, their menu of speakers. Excellent. There's our district PI chair. Raj is our district public image chair.
Thank you.
Very active in the club. Okay, so thank you. Good night, Shahul. Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Bernard.
Thank you.
Thomas.
Thank you so much for your help.
Chair is here. Thank you, Thomas.
Thomas, yes, Thomas. How are you, Thomas?
Hello.
We go for the $100 per Rotarian. What do you think?
Gift of life. Thomas was with us on the gift of life. Yeah.
Okay. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night. Good night.
Good night. Good night, everyone. Good night. Take care. Right. 6.